Hi, it's Annie Mathias, and I wanted to share with you today 5 books that have made a tremendous impact in my life. Now, I've had all these glorious books, actually about 12 of them, lined up on my dining room table for about 3 weeks now, just enjoying them. It's like having a chance to sit with old friends. But I wanted to take a couple minutes and show you what some of my very favorites are and which books have made a tremendous impact in my life. The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck was a book that I read when I was 32 years old. It was a life-changing time for me, and in this book he talks about choices. He talks about having the power to make choices and what it is to walk through and really walk in more of your authentic self. He talks about spiritual values and traditional values and really listening to that which is true. With the help of Mr. Peck, many things in my life were changed. Many things were sorted out in a time of great turmoil, and I have always loved this book. I've gone through and underlined, written in margins. It's one of those life-changing books. Another book that made a tremendous influence in my life is what would be termed as science fiction, Zena Henderson. It's from the People series. Now, she has written a whole series of these. This is the first one. It's called Pilgrimage. And in this book, she describes a people who come from another place that was blown up, and they really looked like people, but they had abilities to do things that many people here on the earth don't recognize or would even call strange or maybe even demonic. Well, as a child growing up and one who did have certain abilities, when I read this book, it was just like coming home. It was a place of normalization for me. It was a place to be able to say, even if it was science fiction, I could relate to these people. This was many, many years ago that she wrote these books, back in the 70s. And as time goes on, we now use the word empath as a regular part of our vernacular. Or there is the word being a sensitive. Well, these people were healers. They were sensitives. They were empaths. And when I read these books, they gave me great hope to hold on and to not be ashamed of who I was. Another book that I have greatly loved since I was a teenager is The Velveteen Rabbit. Of course, over the years, this has become more and more popular, but I will always remember writing in my journal when I was 14, 15 years old, the conversation between the rabbit and the skin horse about what is it to be real. And the skin horse said to the rabbit, when you become real, your fur gets worn off. You know, you're not as fluffy and you don't look maybe like you did at one point. And I always loved that because for me, being real was probably the most important thing. Another book that I tremendously love is the work of George MacDonald. Now, if you know me in my writing classes, you understand that there are certain mentors that we might have as writers who go before us. And George MacDonald, for me, was one. He was a prolific writer, and he wrote in a fairy tale sense incredible truth. And in The Princess and Curdie, that's another example of writing incredible truth. Now, one of the things that I loved in the Curdie series was that here Curdie was this miner who had a heart that was pure, not perfect, but pure. And in these stories, Curdie is accompanied by a creature, Lina, who was not necessarily the most beautiful creature, but faithful and true. And there's so many parts of George MacDonald's writings that are life lessons. Another book that I greatly appreciate is Women Who Run with the Wolves. Now, this just recently had its anniversary. Dr. Estes is a storyteller, a wisdom keeper. She is a truth speaker. She is one who, when she wrote this book, it was kind of controversial. But over the years, she has become one who I will read and listen to for wisdom. The final book is Dr. Seuss, Oh, the Places You Will Go. And Dr. Seuss is another one who has greatly influenced my life. I would read him to my children, but also I read him for myself, because written in these wonderful, lyrical, sometimes whimsical, seemingly made-up stories are a lot of truth. And all these books hold gems of truth in whatever form they come with. So I hope that you have enjoyed just having a glimpse of what some of my favorite books are. I hope that maybe if you haven't read some of these, you'll pick them up and read them. Now, if you would like to hear more on my blog, I have more books and more reasons why they're wonderful. Keep reading, keep enjoying, keep learning, keep growing. Thank you for sharing this time.